this is going to be great.
Welcome to the White House Pod with David A.R.
I'm going to finish what I started.
It's not easy. It's simple.
Dylan, do you know that we have a 5-time Grammy nominee, 22 NSAIs? I don't even know what does that stand for? It's just 22. We haven't introduced you yet, okay? You got to wait. We're doing an introduction here of the Songwriter Artist of the Year, Golden Note recipient in 2023. I mean, multiple ASCAP Christian Music Songwriter Artist of the Year. I've never met this guy. He's also received like all these K-Love awards, on the Billboard Music Awards, GMA. All right, forget it. Just, ladies and gentlemen, Matthew West.
Wow.
You know, I remember being at the K-Love Awards back in, I don't know, this is many years ago, and you were hosting it.
Yes.
And you did it and you were funny, and you were charming, and you obviously are an amazing singer. And I always was like, man, that Matthew West, like, he's just got it going on. That guy, like, has a way of bringing it all together. And someday I hope he comes over and does a movie with us or a show with us. And then we had talked about doing a show, I think, at one point in time, because I feel like you were doing reality stuff, and like behind the scenes type of a thing. And and we had it was when Pure Flix was trying to figure out how to do some kind of a reality show, and we wanted to follow you. I think that's what it was. This is like 10 years ago or something. Maybe not 10 years ago, but it's a while ago.
We got to put that on the pile of. I'm sure you have a pile of great ideas that never reached completion, huh?
Matthew West, I love your voice. I love your music.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like. You're so good. It astounds me that you write your stuff. And it's also, I don't know. I always just feel moved when I hear your songs, especially to worship. Wow. And also, it encourages my spirit. And I love that. I don't listen to a ton of Christian artists, but you're one of them that I do. And I really love.
But that means a lot. Thank you. And I've been a big fan of yours for a long time. So thanks for having me on the show today. And I'm really honored to hear you say that. So you say you don't listen to a lot of Christian music. Do you listen to a lot of music, period? Or I'm just like, what's your go-to genre?
Oh, wow.
Michael Jackson.
I do like Michael Jackson, actually.
Wait, who's the voice in the side there?
That's Dylan. I don't know if you can't see Dylan, but Dylan's voice is like, you know.
He's Michael Jackson.
No, I do love Michael Jackson. I love Aerosmith. I mean, it's like 80s stuff, you know, and 90s stuff. I actually like I was from a musical family, and so I ended up enjoying, you know, but I also grew up Mennonite, and so we had a lot of like classical stuff going on.
Okay.
And then Christian music all through high school. Christian music like David Meese. Do you remember David?
Of course. Like I was going to say, so the Mennonites were not rocking Aerosmith.
No, not at all. Not until afterwards, until I got into L.A. did I start getting corrupted by the mainstream media voices. But you're not any older than I am, and so I couldn't listen to you growing up. I was listening to Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant and all those people. So, but when I came to L.A., I feel like it's something obviously there's, you know, for King and Country, and there's the ones that I know and I have listened to for many years, but you're part of that small group. Even Chris Tomlin, he was just the executive producer on our Last Supper movie, but there's not a lot of like the new ones that there's a lot that I don't even know really. So
well, I'll tell you, Christian music is having this. I guess I don't know if you call it a resurgence or almost more of an expansion. Like it feels like this. I mean, it's a whole new season of even redefining what Christian music is. I bet. I mean,
but now you're like a godfather of Christian music. Like you're now the new version of Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith. It's like then there's the new people, and that's you.
Well, you probably have young filmmakers coming up to you and go, man, I loved your stuff as a kid. Like for me, I'm having that happen with artists now. And it's this sobering moment of Oh,
Wow, you're
I'm
old.
not 21 anymore. Well, yeah, when a young artist comes up to me and like, man, I listened to your stuff when I was a kid. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, that's better than I don't know anything you've ever done.
Yeah.
I even have faith-based people sometimes come up to me. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that we started Pure Flix. Like, because now it's this great American thing, right? It's transformed into this other thing. And they'll come up and they'll pitch ideas, but they don't even realize that we were, even the people at, not to say, anyway, I digress. Like when I meet great American Pure Flix folks, they don't even know that we started Pure Flix, which is just ironic.
Like, do you know who I am?
We'll be in a development meeting and they're like, wow, you actually have some good ideas. And I'm thinking going...
Don't you love that? Well, my favorite is you probably don't get this one, but this one brings me back down to earth in a big way. Is my mom loves your music.
Yeah,
I just want to. Meet
my mom
daughter,
loves your movies. That's another one. Especially if I'm trying to date a girl and she's like, "Yeah, my mom's a big fan of yours." I'm like, "What?"
So I'm big with the moms, evidently. I'll take it, whatever.
But when did you first come in? Like, when was your first break into the Christian world? Like, what year was it?
Yeah, so it was 2004. I signed a record deal after 4 years of trying to sign a record deal and getting rejected. I had started my career, David, behind the scenes as a songwriter. And so from 1999 to 2004, I was writing songs. The music industry folks didn't feel like I was a strong enough artist, but they thought I was a good songwriter. And so I discovered by rejection, which I've learned a lot of times, rejection is such a gift to us in our lives, and the Lord uses it to redirect us. And so I wound up having the doors closed as an artist and having doors open as a songwriter. And they would take my songs and give them to other artists in country music and Christian music to record. And that was a whole different world that I started to realize. I don't know if that's like, if you have a movie idea, but you're not the actor in the movie or something. For me, that was like this adjustment of going, wait a minute, I've written this song, but somebody else is going to record it and bring life to it. So that's how I started my career. But I always felt like there was still...
How many years did you do that, though, to where you were writing for people, but you weren't actually singing the songs?
Yeah, so that was about 4 years of me just in the back room, of the record label.
What's his name? Didn't Pharrell do this though too? And Kanye did this?
Then I started to realize the career paths of some of my favorites. Like even growing up, I grew up listening to Stephen Curtis and Michael W. Smith.
Yeah, me too.
And I always felt like maybe someday I'll be part of the next generation doing that. But guess how they started their careers? A lot of them, they had written songs behind the scenes that other artists recorded. So I actually took great courage, comfort in that, and it made me a better songwriter, which then prepared me for a better artist path. I think as an artist, it's like you want to have something to say, but you also want to know how to say it. And it was really about putting in the 10,000 hours as a songwriter that I think is what helped me to have a longer career as a recording artist.
When did you, like, after 4 years of writing, then when did it click? Were you able to transition though to where you were actually singing the song and people wanted to hear you sing? And how did you do that? Like, was it like that's a hard transition? Like, was the singer sick or something? And you're like, they're like, okay, you sing.
Yeah, the understudy came in. I'll tell you, the way it happened was I never stopped developing my artist dream as well. So what I would do is I would spend half of the year in Nashville writing songs, and then I would book myself independently to play college campuses and churches and youth groups the rest of the year. So I would take off for a month at a time in my Honda Civic, and I would book myself on tours. And then I got
Hold on a second. Where was your wife at this moment to book you?
I was young and single, and it was the perfect time in my career, and I was lonely, right? So I remember driving through Iowa snowstorms, listening to Delilah on the radio, headed to my next community college performance. I mean, that's not a hypothetical.
Hold on
that's
a second. Were you
story.
actually do you get booked at a community college? It wasn't a Christian college?
Oh, 100%. I was booked. I was booked at secular universities, I was booked at Christian colleges, and then I would book churches and youth groups on top of that because my dad was a preacher, and I knew like I'd call and I'd sing at a church on Sunday morning, but Friday and Saturday night I'd be at a college campus, and they wouldn't even bill me as a Christian singer because if they did on that secular campus, nobody would come. And so my songs were not just straight up overtly Christian songs. I was coming out of college myself, having played concerts in the frat houses at my college. So my songs were clearly faith driven, but they weren't like worship songs necessarily. And that allowed me to kind of step into some different rooms than you'd expect the average Christian artist singing for, you know? So I had like 1,000 shows under my belt in that 4 years while I was writing songs behind the scenes. And it just kind of, I think it came to a critical mass where finally a record label saw, well, this guy's he's already booking himself. He's putting in the work and he's a good songwriter. He's getting songs recorded. Maybe we should give him a shot. And it literally came down to one last record label, David, that had yet to reject me. And I went in for an audition after 4 years of trying, and they gave me a record deal. And the crazy thing is they weren't even in Christian music. They said, man, we don't even do Christian music, but we believe in what you're doing and we want to help you. And crazy thing about that is after 4 years of getting rejected by a record label, that audition, on that day, at that audition, I met my future wife. And so I like to tell people that I got a wife and a record deal in the same day. So all that rejection by the women and the record labels all led to that one moment of acceptance.
How old were you, though, at that point?
I was 25 years old.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, I mean, like, is that doesn't seem that long of rejection period. Like 4 years is not really a much of a no offense, but Randy Travis and Elizabeth Travis were our partners in Pure Flix for many years, and so we learned all about Randy Travis's career, and he he tried for 10 years to get a record label from the time that he met Liz at the bar. 10 years of rejections before Warner Brothers came in and gave him the deal. But like, what? So you were 4? Like, that doesn't seem like you were suffering at all.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because they call for a while they called Nashville a 7-year town, and now there's a popular podcast called 10-year town. And but the principle is the same. What would you call LA? What time would you put on that?
Like 10-year? I think it's more of a 10-year.
10-year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you put it in that context, 4 years of rejection and waiting really was minimal compared to a lot of other people's stories. I think it was surely enough time for me to get discouraged. I'll tell you that much.
But you were already writing, right? You were writing as well. Were you writing at labels before?
Yeah, I would get called in. I mean, that was the most humbling thing was they'd say, hey, we don't want to give you a record deal, but we've signed this young artist. And it was like they gave that other artist what I saw as my slot,
and your songs too, right?
Yeah, that's what they would say is we've signed this other artist, but they can't write a song. Would you write with them? And I'm just in this room like I'm trying to be thankful for the opportunity, but also trying not to be resentful of the fact that the role I'm in that room. So it was definitely something to be. It was something to work out and wrestle. But I tell you what's crazy now is I'm actually coming to you from my studio in Nashville. And to this day, even though I got my own record deal, I never let go of, I absolutely fell in love with writing songs for other artists. And when I signed a record deal, I had a lot of people say, well, now you can stop doing that and just focus on your artistry. And I said, well, why would I do that? I've discovered this love of being a part of other artists' platforms and helping them say what they feel called to say. So all these years later, I still have these two paths that run in parallel directions. And one day I'll be writing a song for my record, and the next day I'll be in the room with any number of artists who would like call me up and say, hey, let's write a song today. And so it's served me well. And it's one of those ways where it's like, I didn't know that that's a way that God was going to use me, but I'm sure glad he did. And all these years later, I'm still doing it.
How many songs have you written now?
Well, my goal is 100 songs a year. Wow. And if you multiply that over 25 years, but the better question is, how many good ones, and then the percentage gets more. You know what I mean? So,
well, how many produced?
But I would say,
how many produced already? How about that? or recorded.
Whoa.
I guess it would be recorded.
Gosh, I've never even done the math on that. But
Well,
I
like,
think
you know,
it's
you walk into Prince's museum, right? Last time I was in Minnesota, I went to Paisley Park because I like kind of those. I like those museums of dead singers.
Is that what that is? That's Prince's museum. It's called Paisley Park.
That's his house. Yeah, that he used to. You know, that's his place. That now is his museum.
Oh wow!
That
I
you
need to
walk
see
through.
this.
It's super cool. Yeah, but it's not as good as Graceland. You know,
I've never been to Graceland, and I'm only 3 hours away.
what in the world's wrong with you? Like
And
Graceland.
I love every Elvis movie I can find. Too.
Oh gosh, I went to Graceland I think when I was 25, and I met Linda Thompson on a plane. You know,
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was 25 years old. I was going to do a movie in Jonesboro, Arkansas, of all things, but you had to land in Memphis and you drive across. It's like an hour and something. So then I went, and I'm literally talking to Linda Thompson. I have no idea who she is. But she's talking about Hee Haw, and I was like, oh, Hee Haw, I grew up on watching the Hee Haw, right? I had no idea that. And then when I did that movie, I went through Graceland, and at the very end of it, you walk all the way through all his medals and everything else he's ever won, and movie posters and everything. And there is a picture of, like, you know, he'll claim like one of his most loves, basically, was Linda Thompson. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the woman on the plane that I spent 3 hours with talking about Hee Haw.
Did she ever mention Elvis?
Never did. No. I think because she didn't want a bunch of King questions, because I would have peppered her with all kinds of Elvis questions.
Is Elvis's plane on
It
at
is.
Graceland?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
It's
always
worth
heard
it.
that.
I can't believe
That's
you haven't
crazy.
gone, especially as a musician.
I need to go.
I'm appalled.
Because I've geeked
I'm
out.
appalled,
Have you ever
Matthew.
gone to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? What'd you say?
We're in Cleveland, right?
In Cleveland. Now
I've been there.
that,
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know about you, but I spent hours there one day. I was touring by myself, and I had a show that night at a university nearby, and I got a pass, and I found out that it doesn't matter what level of achievement you have as a musician. If you have a recorded product, you can bring your CD to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they will put it in the archives and give you a free pass for the day.
Oh.
And so I remember I took my little independent project to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and walked up, and they put it in the archives and they gave me a pass for the day. And I loved every second of it. My favorite part was seeing they had copies of old contracts for like the Rolling Stones and like what each band member would ask for in their dressing room. And like, I don't know why I was so captivated by all of it, but so I would imagine I would love visiting Graceland. So
yeah.
you've given me a good assignment. I got to take my daughters.
My gosh. Have you been to the Johnny Cash Museum over in Nashville?
No.
What is wrong with you? Do
See,
you not have a
in
love
Nashville,
for music?
I love Johnny Cash, and I've read his biographies, but I've never gone to the.
It's a great
I always
museum.
think of it as anything in Nashville feels like, oh, that's what the tourists do. But I guess
Yep,
there's
that's
value
me.
in going, huh?
Man, people's kids these days.
Well, that would
Yes.
be like me coming to LA and going to.
I went on the Walk of Fame,
place do you
too.
go?
The Wax Museum. You got to go on that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So do you go to the Wax Museum?
Not very frequently, but every now and then. You know, but I've been to all that stuff, though. I'm a big fan. You know, I'm from Kansas, outside of Dodge City in a wheat field. So growing up, like, it just was the idea of any industry, the movie industry or the music industry. I'm still fascinated by all of it. So
Yeah. I'm the same way.
I don't think you could say you're the same way. You have not been to have you been to a museum of a dead artist yet?
Well, no, gosh. I've read the books, David. I've read the books like a true academic, but you're right. You're calling me
Not
out
a
on
true
this
fan.
podcast. The next time we talk, I need to visit.
We're gonna do our next podcast from like Graceland. Actually, they won't let us in, but right outside the gates of Graceland.
Okay, I need to visit Graceland, and when I'm in Minneapolis, I need to go. What'd you call it, Paisley?
Yeah,
Park?
Paisley Park. All right.
Okay, what else? Have you been to any other spots like that?
Well, Johnny Cash Museum, you could just go down the street and see that. Let's just start there. Start in your own backyard and then expand out to Graceland, 3 hours from here.
I have been to the Country Music Hall of Fame.
What about the
and
Grand
Rock
Ole
and Roll-
Opry?
Of course, I've been to the Grand Ole Opry. I performed at the Grand Ole Opry. You saw me at the Grand Ole Opry. The Ryman Auditorium. Come
All
on.
right. So what's the biggest place that you played at, and that you're most proud of? That you're like, I don't want to say most proud of because then it'll sound bad if you don't say like a little church in Kansas. But I'm going to say
okay. Well,
that one is the
biggest.
the biggest auditorium. That's pretty amazing.
Okay, well, this is sort of a performance and sort of not, but technically the biggest would be Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. I sang the national anthem before a Chiefs game, and
wow,
I'll never forget it. The offensive lineman, this offensive lineman walks up to me moments before my name is called, and he's ginormous, and he's looking down on me, and he's got his big helmet is on, face mask, sweat dripping from his face mask.
He hasn't even played yet.
And he looks down. He hasn't even played yet. It's pregame, and he's all sweaty. He looks down. He's like, "You singing the anthem?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Don't suck."
What?
and then he walked away, and I'll never forget. And I was as if I wasn't scared enough. And then right after that, ladies and gentlemen, to sing our national anthem. And so I had to go out there, knees knocking, and sing the anthem. And thankfully, after the song was over, he came over and gave me knuckles with his big big mittens or whatever. And he's like, "Good job, man, good job." So that's technically the biggest. But I've gotten to perform at places like Red Rocks.
Before you say that, did you get to see for the game? Were you actually like did you get to stand down there and kind of give the coach some hints? And hey, Patrick, you should be doing this.
I was giving him some plays and
Did
things
you
like
swat
that.
him on the back and go, "Good job"?
No, my style is to sit in the skybox.
The sports
put
thing.
Me up in the skybox. Put me where the buffet is. That's what I want to do.
You look like you're in shape, though. Like, have you been working out a lot? Because look at those. Like,
I'm trying to be in shape, David. We're probably similar ages, but it's not easy to stay in shape.
At 41 years old, it's tough.
I'm working hard these days to keep up with the young ones right there.
How old are your kids these days?
Okay, so I have a 16. My youngest just turned 16. My daughter and my oldest daughter just turned 19. So we're at an interesting phase of life, raising teenage daughters, and it's another reason why I got to look like I'm in shape so I can intimidate the guys who are showing up at my house.
A bat won't do any longer, or a shotgun with the.
Well, in Tennessee, yeah, in Tennessee's it's all shotguns. Yeah.
All right, so I love your song. I don't know what the name of it is. I think it's called "Do Something." Is it "Do Something"?
Something, yeah.
That's the name of the song, right? I play that song so much that my daughters are sick of it. Because sorry about that, but I mean, like, literally, I just love the song. I love a lot of your songs like that, but I mean, like,
why do you love that one?
Well, I mean, the message of the song is great, right? If you ask God, what are you supposed to, that poor person on the street, and then God says, why don't you go do something? Right? Yeah. I think that you said it a lot better than that. But
well, a friend of mine called that song, and this I thought was
I love that song. Yeah.
Well, that premise is like, I see trouble in the world, and my first thought is, God, you should do something about it. And he says, I did. I created you. And my brother actually said to me, he goes, you know what that song is? I said, what? And he said, that song's a hug and a punch. And I was like, a hug and a punch. He said, yeah, because it's like encouraging, but it also kind of like is
it's
convicting.
A gut punch.
And you know what? I found myself over the last several years, like being drawn to songs that are a hug and a punch. Like at different times, I'll have a song where I'm like, this song punches me. It convicts me. I think sometimes we're afraid to create art that is actually challenging or convicting. I think the word conviction gets a bad rap sometimes too, because what conviction is a stirring, from the Holy Spirit that change needs to happen in our lives. And we don't like that sometimes. So I love that you love that song, because I think it's a hug and a punch. And it's a song that I needed. Not that I needed other people to hear, but I needed to hear it myself.
You're a rock star, right? So we have established that. You got your private jet. You got your great house. Yes. You're a rock star.
Southwest Airlines.
You look amazing, right? So when you go to stadiums, right, when the Chiefs are trying to give you a fist bump, you still have to then sing your songs, or I have to say the words, right, that are faith-based, and ultimately, God's word says, you put my word out there, it will not come back void, because it could be, because it's God is speaking through that art. It doesn't allow you to be arrogant, especially like even something like this song, right? Every time you sing the song, are you humbled in a way that, oh, wow, whatever I was feeling back, or I'm throwing a temper tantrum, for, like, I'm digressing here, but I was in the eye doctor the other day, and we had waited, and I didn't want to wait. It was my Saturday afternoon. And but it was like 30 minutes in, and the lady was taking the longest time to check us in to see about our insurance or whatever. And finally, I kind of lost my cookies, so to speak. See, I brought that around because we have a whole box of cookies over here.
I saw you eating one before.
I kind of like, oh, we've been here this long. I don't care whether it goes through the insurance. I'll pay for it if it's not through the insurance. It doesn't matter. We've been coming here I brought my kids here, like all like different ones. We've all been here for like 5 years. It doesn't matter. Just put us through. It's been 35 minutes. And she goes, and she was like, wow. And so another lady came up and she's like, and in my brain, I'm like, I hope no one recognizes me here, because I kind of just lost my, we're called to be patient and kind and all of these things. And I just wanted to like throw a pen at her to say, I don't care. Like, why can we not get in there? Like, there's no reason for us to not be through that door already, so I can go enjoy my sunshine in Southern California. And sure enough, and so she tells us, and the other person's like, oh, wow. And she's like got this look on her face, and she, kind of looks our way, and she's, like, oh, I'm expecting the worst from this dad. Sure enough, lady gets up, not less than a minute later, and I'm sitting there already thinking, oh gosh, please don't let anybody know me here, because I didn't do my best foot for it. And sure enough, she turns around and goes, I love your movies. Oh, gosh. And thank you so much for what you do. They're encouraging. And she's like at least lowering her voice so the whole waiting room doesn't hear this, which I appreciate from that lady, from that woman. And then she walks off, and I'm just like, unbelievable, Lord. Unbelievable. Like, we're like, that's the thing. Like, if like Joel Osteen or these guys or Rick Warren, they tell these stories on, about being a pastor and losing their cookies, so to speak. So how does it work with you?
Well, I can't.
Do you have any eye doctor experiences?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's more than I'd care to count. But I can't tell you how much I relate to that story you just told. Like, the first thought that comes into my mind was this was less about me losing my cool, but more about me in a moment of just exposed. I got a speeding ticket, and I was driving way too fast.
In your Ferrari?
It was early morning.
Was it your Ferrari?
Yeah, in my
the
Ferrari.
red one or the yellow one?
First of all, I hope your listeners know about that you're being sarcastic, that I don't have a private jet.
What? Wait, that was not in here. This said you had sold, millions and millions of albums and received award after award and met the Chiefs and hung out on their sidelines and just hanging it out, fist pumping.
Wrong genre. You've got Bruno Mars coming on the show next week or something. But I got a speeding ticket, and it was the kind of speeding ticket where I was going so fast that they said you have to appear in court.
It's the red Ferrari for sure.
I was late to the airport. What's that?
It's the red Ferrari for sure.
It's the red Ferrari for sure. So I show up at the court. They call my name. I go up in front of the judge. The judge scolds me. Like, he's like, son, I don't care what your reason was.
Like, how fast were we going?
Well, I was going evidently I was going like 75 and a 40 at 4 a.m. because I had left my suitcase in my garage and I was late to the airport.
You weren't drinking too, were you? Were you drinking?
No, I was not drinking. You're trying to get me in trouble. Right? This is where the tab.
Well, we kind of need these little pieces sometimes. That it's like.
No, I'm not giving you any colors that aren't welcome. But,
so you were drinking in the red Ferrari.
No.
Matthew West, do something.
Remind me never to let you make the story of my life into a film.
It'll be colorful.
But the judge, hits the gavel, gives me my fine, and, how do you plead? And I said, I plead guilty, and this whole deal. And I turn around right after pleading guilty in front of a judge. It could have been for anything, but
did everybody applaud?
There's a family of 4 in the back of the courtroom just going, can we get a picture with you? We love your music. And I'm just like, come on. But I've had many moments like that, David, where, losing my temper on an airplane because a flight attendant is rude. And then I hear the lady next to my wife say how much she loves my music, or those kinds of moments where, and I think what you're getting at is it's like, the humanity. I think a lot of times I write songs, and the devil knows how he can get at me too, is, a lot of times right before I'm walking on stage, I'll just feel like this wave of guilt wash over me. Like, who are you to go out there and sing these songs about how you're supposed to live and about God's grace? And it really, there's that moment of truth there where I have to rest wholly and completely on God's grace in my life and realize that these songs that I write are exploring the human condition, and they're written from the perspective of somebody who's far from perfect, but who dares to believe in a perfect love. And so, I think it's important also to write songs that are honest. Pointing back to the song you said you like, that song clearly points out that I'm the guy whose first instinct is not to change the world, but to wait for God to send somebody else to change the world. So I think it's important as songwriters, if we're going to be honest, or storytellers, to insert that humanity into it and go, listen, I'm not writing songs about perfection. I'm writing songs from a human perspective who's chasing after God and knows that I'm far from perfect, but I'm daring to believe that there's a God who loves me anyways. And so when I tap into that, I feel like that's when I'm at my best as a songwriter, not writing about the perfect life, but writing about the human condition that's far from it.
Well, also not even a songwriter. I think I bet you're the best performer at that moment too, because it's the purest. It's complete brutal honesty coming straight through it, and that's the. I think that's one of the tricky things, about being in the Christian community, the faith-based community, however you want to verbiage, whatever the verbiage is there. But it's like we have the blessing of being anonymity in some ways, because there's a lot of people who have no idea about, versus like Aerosmith or versus, a mainstream player that has been done the same amount of album. I'm not saying Aerosmith, and I'm not comparing.
Or recognized wherever they go.
Right. Because of it's just more, global with what they're doing, so to speak. And so I thank God for moments of the anonymity when on the airplanes, when you can't get the water or the peanuts that you're trying to, or the person's, too much over here and you just want to be left alone, or the fact that nobody knows who you are at that moment and you can go to sleep or you don't have to, right? But then there's the moments of, I always say the airplanes are the hardest place to get recognized on, because especially like if the plane is just starting and somebody says, hey, I love you in that, right? Or you're that guy, or for whatever it is that they say. The hard thing is because then you got all the other people going, oh, I'm sorry, who is that? Who is that? Yeah. Who is that? What did you do? I don't understand. Or they then you're explaining, it's just like, it's not, yeah. And that's where the anonymity comes in good.
During the COVID pandemic, David, I got booked. This is so embarrassing, but this is a perfect example of what you just said. I got booked by some guy who wanted to surprise his fiance at their rehearsal dinner before the wedding in New Jersey. Okay. And this was, every concert was canceled. So I wouldn't normally do some event like this, but I was like, okay, this guy wants me to come and do this, and he'll pay me.
Sheik.
And I was like,
he's a sheik in Iran, and I'm like, I wasn't gonna go there, but it's a lot of cash, and it's 2020.
So I drove my Ferrari Yep.
Got it.
So I get to this rehearsal dinner and he has this all planned out and he's like true New Jersey, like, hey, here's what I'm thinking, my girlfriend loves your music, and I could clearly tell right off the bat that the girlfriend was the only person who loved my music and for the fiance. And so sure enough, he goes, they got a DJ there. And the DJ is I have never told this story. The DJ was playing music, but then all of a sudden the DJ equipment was going to break down. And while they were playing my song, and then I was going to step out from behind the curtain to save the day, and everybody was going to be blown away. All of this happens. I walk out. She starts crying. Everybody else in the rehearsal dinner is sitting there like, well, who's this guy? Right? So get this. I start singing. I have to do an hour concert for the rehearsal dinner. And through the whole rehearsal dinner, I hear people's phones playing my music because they're Googling me to see what songs I had. It was the most humiliating. At some point, I told a joke, and the DJ I didn't know was still behind me. And if he thought I said something funny, he'd play that. But all that to say is, like, one person knew who I was. The rest of the room had no clue. And it's the weirdest sort of fame/anonymity.
Yeah.
But I would imagine you, because the visual is there with millions of people seeing movies you've been in, I would imagine the recognition is on another level for you. In Christian music, we don't have MTV. We don't have a lot of visual components other than social media. So I would think it's more ramped up for you, no?
Well, I mean, ever since God's Not Dead hit, right? It's amazing.
Right.
It's amazing that I can go almost any country in the world other than Thailand, of all places. They recognize and they, and they know they recognize me. But it's not everybody over there. It's it's like the select group of people wherever you're at that go, oh, and they're all, they're super excited because they love what you or me or whatever. They love our movies or your music. And it's like, the interesting thing, I guess all of this, to just sum this up, is that the interesting part about all of this, though, is that we already know, right? Christianity gets a bad rap because of people who have been disappointed by Christianity. Okay, so automatically there's a labeling on it that is, if you're a Christian, there's a good chance that somebody is going to dislike you because of whatever it is that you stand for that didn't go well in their life in some way, shape, or form. Somebody had let them down who called themselves a Christian, right? And so we are representatives of Christianity, clearly. And that's where the rub really comes in, because if you're on a plane or you're out in public or something and somebody says, I love, for my movies, it's 9 times out of 10, God's Not Dead. All of a sudden, the label is even broader of that guy is a Jesus follower. He's a Christian. And he made these movies called God's Not Dead, which so it's front and center. And then it is the other folks that are around that then have the reaction of, what do they feel? Do they feel God is dead? Do they feel, where is God in their life? And so it's so much more trickier, and there's so many different levels to it that I don't think the regular individual feels. If you were just on 90210, I don't think it's the same conundrum.
Yeah, you're exactly right that everybody is coming to that topic of faith or religion from a different set of experiences and a different vantage point, and just being associated with that might
be a trigger for them.
Yeah, be a trigger for them and represent a painful experience in their lives, which is all the more reason why, whether
we should get up and do something.
Exactly. Well, whether you're a minor celebrity or a plumber, just to realize, I think the essence of what you're saying is so true, is that, like, as followers of Christ, our actions will always speak louder. Like, when we're talking about doing something, it's not just the words that we preach or the words that I speak in my songs or the scripts that you read in your movies, but it's how we're living out our daily life will impact and influence the world around us so much greater than any sermon we could ever preach, any song I would ever sing. How I live my life is going to impact my daughter's view of faith more than how I tell them to live their life. And I'm trying to remember that, especially with guys like us who have built our lives on words and, pieces of art that we think represent our statements of faith to the world. It's like, help me to remember that I don't punch the clock and clock out after my time on stage is done. Like, that's where I feel real conviction about that. Like, how do I live my life when I'm off the stage?
How is it for you? Yeah. How is it for you then, being in the Christian movie and music industry all these years, right? So, and this is the difference, I think, between Christian movies, is there's less faith-based movies. I mean, obviously now more than ever, there's more people doing Christian movies than when I started in the early 90s, when there was nobody. I mean, there wasn't even Christian movies. They were just these little Sunday school things. Christian music has been around, since Keith Green all the way back, and the Gaithers and all that stuff, and gained popularity specifically in the Christian culture. But there's more of you guys, is my point, and you guys are more front and center about Christian artists. Are Christian artists all just like incredible people of faith, or are they broken of some sort?
Well, I mean, I think you already know the answer to that one for sure. I think it's also, I just think I've noticed when I came into the music industry, I was like, oh, okay. So even from the business standpoint, like, oh, okay. So it's Christian music, but it's still the Christian music business. So I better have a good attorney. You know what I mean? Like, I had somebody who worked in Christian music and mainstream music, and they were asked, what's the difference between the two? And he's like, well, the mainstream industry says, we're going to take advantage of you. And then they take advantage of you. The Christian industry says, we're not going to take advantage of you. And then they take advantage of you. So I think I've seen elements of that, of course. But, I think it is important I've seen it, and I've seen it done wrong, and I've seen, Christian artists that don't necessarily live their lives by the values that they sing about, and I've seen that as like a sobering wake up call to go, like, I don't want that to be my legacy. You know what I mean? And I think there's also, I think one of the reasons I'm excited with working with other artists is when I find another artist that is excited to sing about Jesus and not use Christian music as like some sort of a stepping stone to some bigger industry that they think about, right? Do you know what I mean? I think there's sometimes people, I think Christian music or Christian movies is, all you're doing is preaching to the choir. And I think I've come through that for so many years and gone, man, I don't believe that at all. I have seen the power of Christ-centered music and how it can impact somebody's life. And I don't think it being overt in its message is limiting its audience at all. And you know what? I've met the choir, and the choir is filled with messed up people. And you know why they're in the choir? Because they're desperate to know about a God of grace. And so I'm passionate about that topic of Christian. I'm passionate about the label of Christian music and very protective of it and proud of it, because I've seen the impact it can have. And the same for faith-based films. And I just believe, and it's funny because I came on this podcast with just as many questions for you as you probably had for me. And we're not going to, but like, I see you as a pioneer in what's become such a thriving and just expanding industry that's reaching the lost with the powerful message of the gospel. And I can't imagine how that must feel for you. And obviously you're still on the front lines of it, but to see the maturation of that, just like I've gotten to see the growth of what is now contemporary Christian music, it is a pretty special thing. I would imagine for you, it's probably what you've hoped and dreamed for all these years, right?
No.
Or maybe even beyond.
No.
No? Tell me. Come on. When you're, tell me though, when David hops in his red Ferrari and drives down the 401.
It's a bright pink one.
There's actually video of this bright pink one.
Yeah, totally.
We should race our Ferraris sometime.
Oh man, we got to do that. The Christian artist versus the Christian filmmaker.
For charity, of course.
Of course. with a small cut off the top for ourselves as we buy our next Ferrari. No, it's an interesting. I was just thinking as you were saying this is that I have a feeling that you have worked this out through your own faith walk through the last 20 years. That what you just said, how profound that was, hasn't been the easy answer that you had 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, or and that's, I think we've had different people on the podcast, obviously, who are famous for something that they did when they were kids, 21, 22, 23, right? And they're 50 or 60 now, and then it's a matter of what they all say. It seems like what they all say is they come around. They hated being known for this thing for many, many years, and it wasn't until they turned that, whether it was into their 60s or late 50s, or at some point in time, they realized that going to those Comic-Cons and being known for that thing wasn't a terrible thing. That they actually really appreciated those people who had supported them all those years and who loved that about them, even though a lot of those folks, missed the last 30 years of their career because they were such a big splash, originally. But I feel it's the same way for like me and I would imagine you in some way, is the older you get, the more you realize every day is a gift. Every day is a blessing from the Lord, and there are so many hardships in this life that we go through that the fact that we actually were able to do anything in the world is a blessing.
Yeah.
But then been a trailblazer for me, fortunately, was a trailblazer in the Christian film world. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be part of it. It's sobering, though, when a lot of people don't remember things, especially the young ones. But at the same token, it's an honor, and then the hope is that we're still not done. If we're alive, we still have a lot of other things that are percolating in our hearts, and that are our dreams. And so I have to leave you. They're going to kick me off of here really quick, but I want to leave you with this question that you have to answer: is to all the people that are watching this, right? That it's called Dare to Dream, and all the people who have these desires, especially to be, in the music industry or whatever it is, what do you tell them? What's your summation of your wisdom? A man who has written so many songs that have unbelievably impacted people every morning and afternoon and evening on their radios.
Well, maybe I would finish back at the beginning of what we talked about, and I would focus in on that word rejection, in the context of daring to dream. There's also, with that, should come with that asterisk that says, and prepare for rejection. But remember this, that rejection is never rejection when you know who the author of your story is. And scripture shows us about dreams being rerouted time and time again. Look at the story of Joseph, just for one example. Look at David. Look at the seasons before the dreams became reality. Look at Moses, and be encouraged to know that rejection's going to come. And when it does come, you keep your eyes on Jesus and know that he's the one writing your story. You might find that rejection was God protecting you for something. It was redirection towards something greater. And so watch your dream grow far beyond what your little dream is when you embrace that God has a greater dream for you, and be prepared to let that rejection come and hit you in the face and wake you up. And when it does, you lift your eyes back up to him and say, I know who's leading me, and I know that he has a plan, and somehow, some way, he's going to work all things for the good.
Amen. Look at that. Romans 8:28, he just dropped it for us.
I don't read the Bible, but I'll take your word for it. I'm just kidding. That's in the Bible. I know that. That was a joke. That was a joke, people.
We're ending with jokes. All right. So Matthew West, I want to say thank you so much for coming on here. Next time I'm in Nashville, I want to have lunch with you. Can I have that, or dinner? Or if you're not on your 19 city tour?
If you let me buy you lunch, that's the deal. If you come to my town, I'm buying. If I come to LA,
I'll buy. That's fine. Deal.
I would love to.
I'm not
spend
even going
time
to take
with you.
I'm not even going to take the red Ferrari out either. But I want you to take your red Ferrari out so I can ride in that.
My red Ferrari. I'll take us to lunch in my red Ferrari. Okay.
Matthew West, thank you so much. I appreciate everything you've done. I'm a big fan. Even just having this conversation with you, I love you more now than I did 29 minutes ago.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
See you, buddy.
Amazing.
I'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, thank you for listening to this. I hope it was encouraging. I feel like I worked some stuff out, my personal stuff, while talking to a brother in Christ, Mr. West. Not to be confused with the Batman, Mr. West. I did love those Batmans. So
I did too.
pretty cool to have Robin on, though.
It was.
That was fun.
Burt Ward was awesome.
That was a really good one, too. All right, so it had nothing to do with Matthew West. But, all right, guys, please subscribe. Please tell us what song Matthew West should sing again and where you saw him in concert or where you want to see him in concert, okay? We'll leave you with that. Like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications, right?
Every time.
Please, because you're going to want us into your radio or
on your television
or on your YouTube. Our bright smiling faces to wish you to have a great day. God bless you guys. Thanks again for listening. See ya.